all wide. Let's ride. What are you doing? Sports!
No cold open necessary this time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 17 of Four Square Sports. It's going to be called based on the Eminem song, Till I Collapse. And if you're a Detroit Tigers fan, well, the Tiger fans are spared now because they won earlier today. But if you're from Houston, Texas, my God, we have a lot for you. And also, we're getting close to the end of this MLB regular season. We'll go over our playoff projection fields, even though nothing's set in stone entirely yet. But we have a lot to cover. But anyways, Matt Sirianni, Alec Nava, Kevin Alex colleagues. John Watts soon to join. Gentlemen, how are you? 2 thumbs up. Kev, how are you doing?
I'm feeling good too, Matt. Excited to have John back on for the first time in a couple weeks, but I'm excited that the band's back together.
Oh, my God. In the words of Plankton, reunited and it feels so good.
Oh, you and your SpongeBob references.
I gotta have at least one every episode. Gotta have at least.
Of course. It's a staple.
I mean, you do. Technically, you do. I mean, you always talk about the SpongeBob quote after every episode. So technically, you do.
That's true. Okay. All right. We're going to start off with the NFL to kick things off. Obviously, we had Thursday Night Football. That's where we'll begin. We had the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. This was a really competitive game throughout. Seattle was up 2 touchdowns. Arizona bounced back. Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first half had just 1 catch for 8 yards, but in the second half, he turned it up. He had 5 catches for 58 yards in the second half, as well as a touchdown. Arizona tied at 20, and they were about to kick the ball back to Seattle, but then a kick out of bounds gave Seattle the ball at the 40-yard line on their final possession and allowed them to get the game-winning field goal to win 23-20, excuse me. And I can tell you right now, Cardinal fans in attendance were not pleased at all with this loss. And Jonathan Gannon, Kyler Murray, as well as Marvin Harrison Jr., who started off slow but finished strong, were disappointed. And Seattle fans should be lucky that they came out with this one. The first half was a slow start for both Jackson Smith-Njigba and Marvin Harrison Jr., but then both receivers got going late. So as we unpack from this one, first off, it was probably the best game on Thursday Night Football so far this season. But, Alec, what other takeaways do you have from what transpired on Thursday night?
When have we not gotten a Seahawks-Cardinals game that is a literal roller coaster or of emotions of sorts? But this game is more of a defensive showdown more than an offensive showdown. It took a while for JSN and Maserati Marv to get going because, as you mentioned, slow starts, but then fast finishes 4-2. But it was more defensive. Uchenna Nwosu led the way defensively for Seattle, and the front seven constantly chased Kyler Murray, making him uncomfortable in that first half. It took a while, but the fourth quarter for Arizona's where they turned it on. They didn't make adjustments until late in the game, but usually when you play cardiac games, that's not really sustainable. But what hurt Seattle the most was continuing to settle for field goals on the opening drive of the second half. And then later, the field goals continued to hurt them as Arizona was coming back. But they were bailed out by Chad Ryland, kicking it short of the landing zone. And that's what won them the game, and with Jason Myers making up for his earlier miss. Seattle did have to sweat it out, but Sam Darnold was solid when he needed to do it the most. But Arizona, I'm starting to regret my pick for the most part. But they'll tease you with talent, but don't show their full potential. And it's coming from someone who banked onto the best case scenario for them. But Kyler was as much to blame for the struggles as anyone else, and that includes Marvin Harrison Jr. Life after James Conner was going to be tough, but Kyler missed open throws early, and he almost was picked off late in the first half after he threw 2 picks.
Yeah, it was not a beautiful offensive half for the Cardinals at all. But once Marvin Harrison Jr. hit his stride, that was great. But you mentioned life without James Conner. That I think is a part I want to touch on because James Conner, like we touched on in the fantasy draft, is a workhorse. I had him in fantasy, and I already had to drop him. But he is a workhorse. So now they got to rely on Trey Benson and Amari DiMercato to carry the load for him, which is tough because James Conner is this bruiser back that you want to have that can jolt an offense. Now, I think Jonathan Gannon has done a good job with this Cardinals team. But one thing you mentioned about Seattle, they had to settle for field goals, especially off a JSN holding penalty. And JSN almost got tossed out of the game for complaining in front of a ref.
Yeah, the ref gave them a big dad stare down.
He did. Literally holding up.
I saw that.
By the way, the Reds are up 2-0. They have the bases loaded, top of the third, 2 out.
And also on the other side of the coin, while we're into football, I'm watching the Phillies Twins game. Philly is down 5-0 with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th. Remember, if Milwaukee loses, it doesn't matter as long as Philly loses. Then Milwaukee will clinch home field. So it's tight here, tight finish across Major League Baseball. But Kev, I want to get your thoughts on Thursday night. What do you make of how both teams played, their offensive execution as well as defensive play?
Well, actually, I couldn't really watch the game because I was busy calling a game myself. But I did look at some of the stats and like highlights and what have you. It seemed like Marvin Harrison Jr. had a nice bounce back game, but the Seattle defense was able to reign true. And I thought that was going to be a closer game either way. I think I did say on last episode I had the Cardinals winning that game. I did, but I was actually surprised at the way the Cardinals ended up playing. But of course, Seattle was able to pull it out in the end. So it's going to be a tight race for the NFC West. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
The NFC West has proven to be competitive so far. And even though the Cardinals are banged up and they did lose back-to-back division games, which hurts their cause, they still look like a competitive ball club. And I think that's what all you want from the Arizona Cardinals at this point. Remember, at one point they were in first place in the NFC West last season. So there's still plenty of games left for them to make ground, but so far, not great.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes up next, we have a whole bunch of Week 4 games. We'll get into fresh spreads in a little bit. But before I do, I want to mention that we do have a bunch of injuries. We mentioned the James Conner injury, but we also have others. Nick Bosa tore his ACL. Najee Harris tore his Achilles. They're done for the year. And then cover your ears, Alec. CeeDee Lamb is on the IR. He's out for 4 weeks. Mike Evans, cover your ears. Kev is out for 2 to 3 weeks.
It's fine. I already dropped him.
You dropped him?
Already dropped him, yeah.
Well, damn.
Dang, Kev.
Wasn't going to take chances.
Jerry, you got to put CD on the IR. I had to wait a while to put him on my fantasy IR because of your extreme patience. It took me a while to add Jordan Love.
It did. I remember it did. You want the thing is though, I hate it when these ball clubs take forever to announce an injury. Like for instance, last year with the Christian McCaffrey injury, the Niners took forever to say, okay, it's a serious leg injury. He might not be able to play the rest of the year.
Bro, make a decision. What's the diagnosis?
All the Niners did for fantasy owners was wait, and then they screwed you. That's literally what they did.
Quick baseball update for the Rangers and Guardians game. The Rangers just tied it up at two apiece. Adolis Garcia solo home run in the top of the 4th inning.
Oh my God,
Oh my!
Oh, I can't wait till we get into baseball. And also in other news for the NFL, Jackson Dart is named the New York Giants' new starting quarterback, and thank God for that. Needed to happen. I watched the Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Giants, and
6-0 Reds.
6-0. I guess someone must have hit a 3-run homer or a base clearing double.
Yeah, it was a bases clearing double because it was 3-0 on a walk and then a bases clearing double.
Oh my God. Well, we know one person in Illinois, really Wisconsin, who's not that happy, but it's all fine. But anyway, we're gonna have baseball updates throughout the entire show. Full disclosure. But Kevin, I remember you and I were texting each other back and forth during the Sunday night game, and let's just say that was not happy. We were both not happy after that game. And now that you hear the change, and also Dable expanded upon it and said Jackson Dart's going to be our starter for the rest of the year. So 3 weeks of Russell Wilson, and now we get this. What do you think? We're ready for a change? Do you think the kid's ready to show what he's got?
Honestly, I mean, I was surprised first off that they were going to start him tomorrow against the Chargers. I would have thought they would have waited till next week when we face the Saints, which is most likely going to be like a much easier team to deal with because the Saints are garbage this year.
They are.
So to put him in, so for Dable to make the call to not only start him against the Chargers, but they're starting for the rest of the year, that really surprised me because I think he knows that he's on the hot seat and that his job is on the line. So this is the last card that Brian Dable could really play. And because if Dart doesn't show up this year, then Brian Dable, like, you can kiss him goodbye in New York because, like, this is his quarterback. This is his draft pick. It wasn't Joe Shane's. Joe Shane just made the trade up happen. This is all Brian Dable's doing. So Dable is banking on the fact that Jackson Dart is going to show up and show out for the rest of the season. And it starts with a tough matchup tomorrow against the Chargers and Justin Herbert, who are 3-0 undefeated on the season. Going to be a very tough matchup. But I do think that, like, I think that the end of Russell Wilson, you can see the writing on the wall. He started off like very shaky in the Washington game, then had literally the game of his life the week after in the Dallas game, still lost. And then to follow that up with how he performed last week on Sunday Night Football on primetime against the Chiefs. Terrible. I think the last straw for Russell Wilson was that last goal line drive. 4 straight plays of garbage. It was 1st and goal for the Giants at the Chiefs' 4-yard line. The first pass that Russell Wilson throws is to nobody in the end zone, no receivers in the vicinity, so he grounded himself. So that's a penalty. So 2nd and goal at the 14, okay? And then probably the worst play call I've seen in my life. On 2nd and goal at the 14-yard line, you're drawing up a quarterback draw for Russell Wilson. That is terrible. We've already touched on Shane Bowen and how, like, I think he should be fired. Like, that I think is the reason why. Like, that is not Shane Bowen. Mike Kafka. That play call by Mike Kafka
has been like
Mike Kafka.
Yeah,
that is terrible. I don't know what it is with our red zone play calling, but it seems like we can get to the red zone every single. I think we've made it to the red zone, I think 7 or 8 times this season, which is not bad. But every single time, Mike Kafka is like drawing up these nonsense plays that are just feels like he's panicking or whatever or what have you. Okay, so whatever. After the 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal, incomplete, throws it to nobody. Then 4th and goal.
Oh, God.
He doesn't even wait just a few seconds because if he does, he has Cam Scatterbo wide open and to his right. He just looks there. Instead, he just throws the ball through the field goal post on 4th and goal to nobody, and then we turn the ball over on downs. Like, that is terrible. That's probably the worst drive sequence I've ever seen from any quarterback ever. And I think Brian Dable's like, okay, I've had enough. I got to make a change because he knows what was going to happen. Like, Russell Wilson is going to be the same kind of player that he was in that game against the Chargers, because the Chargers defense and secondary are a lot different than the Chiefs secondary. So I'm happy, but I'm also cautiously optimistic about Jackson Dart starting for the rest of the season. Nothing would make me more happier than to see Jackson Dart thrive and strive the rest of the season. I hope he does good, because if he does, then we'll know that Brian Dable made the correct choice. But we got to see it first starting tomorrow.
And that's all phenomenal points. We got to see how this kid develops, and Russell Wilson really did regress. It was up and down, up and down. The Cowboy game was, I think, the best game, and he still lost because of that interception at the end, which is really an arm punt. But anyway, and a penalty. Before we get into that, we got to welcome back our Seattle Seahawks savant, John Welch. Welcome back, John.
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, congrats to your Mariners, John. Congrats.
Oh, yeah, the Mariners took first place in the AL West.
Yeah, I got a message from the station manager, and he's like, hey, we should probably do a sports show with everything that's happening in Seattle. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Oh, well, here you are. This is the place to be. This is the place to be right now. We did touch on the Seahawks win over the Cardinals before you came on. I mentioned before JSN came to life in the second half. Then I mentioned the Nate Myers field goal miss that gave Arizona a chance. They tied it up, and then Chad Ryland's was just short on the landing zone. What were your takeaways from what happened on Thursday night?
Well, a lot of weird things happen on Thursdays. It's a really short week. From a front office standpoint, you're going right from the game to video on Monday, practice on Tuesday, and then travel day on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What I saw was a very efficient Sam Darnold, and a very inefficient Kyler Murray. The chemistry between him and Marvin Harrison Jr. just wasn't there at all in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And the stat that really caught my eye was 110 yards. The Cardinals looked very milquetoast on offense for 3.5 quarters. And their last 2 drives, they had 110 total yards. And that's what brought them back into the game.
Wow.
So, they finally gelled and almost came back. And I don't know if Kyler's not watching tape and that's what's going on, or if MHJ is rattled, but that's a connection that just isn't there. And without James Conner, it needs to be. Otherwise, the Cardinals are going to be at the bottom of the NFC West this year.
And that would be a big surprise to a lot of people, not a whole bunch of people, but the Cardinals did have a promising product last year. They started off 2-0. They lose James Conner, which we all mentioned before is a killer for their offense. Really, passing-wise, the consistent one that they have is Trey McBride. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been inconsistent, to say the least. Like we mentioned, 1 catch in the first half for 8 yards. That's not going to get done. And this was a kid who had a promising rookie year last year.
Like father, like son, because Marvin Harrison Jr.'s stat line at this point of his career looked very similar to his father's.
Very similar. But the first 3 games, he was dropping passes. He was underrunning routes. It wasn't good. He was not communicating with Kyler. But Seattle gets this win. It's a big win, because it keeps them afloat. They're 3-1 now. They're in play for the division still. The Niners, they're dealing with banged up injuries. They're banged up. They lost Nick Bosa for the year, but they're still hanging on for dear life for that first place spot in the division. Another thing I want to touch on really quick, I mentioned we'll move into Thursday night quite a bit. I want to get into our favorite games of week 3. I watched all of it. Well, I can tell you right now, my favorite game for week 3 was not Giants versus Chiefs. That's another thing I wanted to touch on while we're on the Giants and Chiefs. The Giants defense did a lot to keep it a close game. It was within 2 touchdowns. But your defense can only do so much when your offense is playing like garbage. And it just bothers me. And this has been a problem for Giants offensive football for a long time. They get good drives. They get in the red zone. They settle for field goals. Or they score touchdowns, but not in bunches. Like that Cam Scatterboot touchdown got me fired up, but they couldn't do anything after that. And then they didn't prepare for having a kicker after Graham Gano got hurt. Hello? Like, what are we doing here? But the good thing is with Jackson Dart as the new starting quarterback, that also means that Tyrone Tracy, who hurt his shoulder, is out. That means that Cam Scatterboot, our guy from Arizona State, is the Giants starting running back this week against the Chargers. When we get into fresh spreads, I can't wait to actually go into that. But I'm actually very excited. Now, as far as our favorite game from week 3, I'm going to start off with John since you're making your triumphant return. What was your favorite game from week 3?
Let's see. I was really happy about the Seahawks blowing out the Saints. They were up more than 40 points at the half. So that stood out. I think a lot of people have sold Seattle short. I heard Witt say that the Rams are going to win the division, and I think that's crazy with the trajectory that the Seahawks are going, especially that defense. like I said over and over again at the beginning of the season, I'm calling these guys the Legion of Bomb because of the way they blow up plays on D. But I've been having a lot of fun just watching the Colts. I don't know if you guys saw it or not today, but they're calling the owner to the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love that. Indiana Jones.
because of Indiana Jones. Remember that
Yeah.
meme from when she was on the sideline with the headset and the clipboard, and they're like, as long as Tomb Raider's on the sideline, Indiana Jones is going to go off. I'm like, there you
Oh
go.
my god.
So
Oh my
I
God.
think the Colts are going to be fun, and I know that's pretty degrading to you guys to see not only Saquon now Danny Dimes leave the
Yeah.
Giants and exceed.
That's
Um,
Indiana
Awkward.
Jones to you, John.
Indiana Jones.
he wasn't Indiana Jones in the Meadowlands, so.
Oh my god.
But it's just I think the dynamics are changing. A lot of the tide is turning. There's a lot of momentum shift. And I was going to come in here with my hair on fire, smoking cigarettes, and say, where's my flowers? Calling the Colts, and saying Houston wasn't going to be that great without Milton, and that's
You
kind
were
of where
right.
we're at.
You were
Kind of where
right.
we're at. So I really have been enjoying watching the Colts because nobody expected them to come this far. And they, their schedule is kind of on the easier side, and especially in contrast to like the Vikings and the Giants.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting. A lot of the off field stuff, like what's happening with the Browns, and nobody thought the Browns were going to beat the Packers. That was
No.
weird. In fact, the FBI was called in on that one. Like, why did the Green Bay Packers blow this play? So that was really interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening. And week 3 is going to be the turning point. You talked about the 49ers. They have a lot of their offense coming back. Ayuk's going to come back in a week or two.
Mhm.
Purdy is going to come back, and I think Ayuk and Kittle will probably come back at the same time. So if they can get through 1 or 2 more games, then they have a shot to go toe-to-toe with Seattle for the division, I think.
Interesting. All interesting points. I mean, the NFL in 3 weeks. I think we're at the point now where teams are starting to settle in and the rust is officially off. Usually it takes the first 2 or 3 weeks for NFL teams to play up to their full potential. So now we're starting to see that now. And as we enter week 4, it's going to be interesting. But Kev, I'm going to go to you. What was your favorite game from week 3?
Definitely, it's got to be the Monday Night Football game against the Lions and the Ravens. Even though John cost me with Jake Bates, even though I lost that game by itself, I thought was incredible because not only was it a high-scoring game, it was also a pretty close game because that's what you expect for both of these teams of this caliber, who are both Super Bowl contenders and have big aspirations. I thought that the Ravens played good, but not as good as they could have been. The Lions defense is the big story here. The Lions defense had 7 sacks against Lamar Jackson?
They teed off.
That's insane. So this Lions defense is legit. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how healthy they can remain all season because remember this past playoffs, health was the big concern on the defensive side for Detroit. So to see them show out defensively the way they did was a good sign. The bad sign for Baltimore is that if you're Derrick Henry, you can't be fumbling the ball like that near the end of the game. That's just something that he has to clean up and that the team needs to do a better job of cleaning up and holding onto the ball. Lamar Jackson, I thought, played good. I thought the whole entire Ravens team played pretty much good as expected. Rashad Bateman had a really good game. I'm surprised. I saw very few times that we see Zay Flowers really doing anything at all. So Rashad Bateman had a nice game. And in times where he needed to catch the ball on 3rd and 4th down, he got it done. But yeah, overall, really like that game. And I also, whoever that offensive lineman is, Mahogany, I hope you get cut this week. But I would say easily Lions Ravens.
Oh my god, that penalty, that holding penalty, put Jake Bates in position to win.
That ruined me.
Oh my god.
Dude.
All right, so
Why is this the year that wide receiver ones are not fantasy relevant? Puka Nacua is the only one.
And guess who has them?
True, you do.
Oh,
And by the way, not to toot my own horn, I'm the only one of two unbeatens in fantasy now.
Congratulations. You'll lose soon. Don't worry.
Okay.
oh, I know
Have
Kev,
you seen-
is
have you-
bitter.
Have you seen the point difference between me and Cogger? The projected point difference. I'm going to
Yeah, you're
blow
like a
him out.
20-point favorite or something like that.
Yeah.
20-point favorite. Is one of the slots empty?
I hope not.
Jeez.
I haven't actually peeked all day, so now I can look. But anyway, fantasy aside, we'll get into fantasy actually a little bit later. But Alec, what was your favorite game of week 3?
Eagles Rams from the Sunday 8 games, because that was a topsy-turvy game in which the Rams looked like they had it won at first, but then they made a big mistake. Cool off, because the Eagles, they know when, and the situation is a pressure situation, they rise to the occasion. Jalen Hurts has been coming under fire over the first 2 weeks because, he isn't passing the ball too much. He's not showing out that much. Well, when the situation calls for high pressure situations, he's built for the moment. And down by 19, he was ready to come back all the way from behind. The Eagles haven't had a true convincing victory yet, but now they finally have a convincing victory. Jordan Davis, have a day, man. He's made a ton of significant plays. It's not just a blocked field goal at the end of the game. And he chased down Matthew Stafford to prevent him from getting a first down, stuffing Kyron Williams on a 4th and 1. And then that set up the offense nicely to eat up of good. A.J. Brown, get on board. Dallas Goedert, get on board. Devontae Smith for the go-ahead touchdown, get on board. And even though Matthew Stafford is known for clutch game-winning drives, Davis had other plans that were for the second block field goal of the day for the Eagles. Has to shut off the Rams from getting anything else. The Rams, they have to be shaking their head because if they capitalize on one of those previous drives in which they instead get a touchdown instead of a field goal, I feel they would have won that game. Instead, they lose all momentum. Getting stuff on 4th and short was a killer. Now, I understand the logic of going for it on 4th and 1. You want to pound the ball up the middle. Right. Jordan Davis was a wrecking ball that game.
It all factual. I mean, the Eagles, if you look at their 3 games, they're 3-0, but their point differential is plus 14. They won the Cowboy game by 4 points. They won the Chiefs game on the road by 3, and they won here by 7. Although it was technically less because when they blocked the game-winning field goal attempt, it was taken to the end zone as time expired. So technically it was plus 8 if you think about it that way. But the Eagles are winning when they're supposed to. And this kind of reminds me last year with the Chiefs, who were the defending Super Bowl champions last year. They were winning games by the skin of their teeth, or at least barely getting by. Now the Eagles are doing that.
Playoff games are built for playoff games.
Yeah.
It's interesting to point out that this is an Eagle team that is kind of, a little decimated on defense with losing players to off season. The defense is pretty strong, but it's not as strong as it was. Definitely not as deep as it was for their Super Bowl run last year.
Right.
Yep. You lose Josh Sweat to Arizona, Milton Williams to New England. That's going to bite you.
Yeah, they lost a lot of defensive stars. I mean, they're holding their own so far this year defensively. They could be doing better, but honestly, the name of the game is to win. Mm-hmm. My game of the week, and this might come as a little bit of a surprise to all you, my game of the week, believe it or not, is the Chargers and the Broncos. Because AFC West showdown, the Chargers are a good team. The Broncos are trying to, prove that they belong in the AFC West. The Chargers, Justin Herbert throwing for 300 yards again, I believe. It was incredible. And, this young man already is putting himself in official MVP conversation 3 weeks in because he's playing well against the Chiefs. He's playing well on Monday Night Football when the lights are bright against teams like the Raiders. And actually think of it, first 3 weeks, all division opponents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The AFC West is supposed to run through the Chiefs, right? So I think the tide has turned. And the Chiefs are getting up there in age. I think people are starting to figure them out. If the Chargers keep continuing to play like this, and I know they don't have Khalil Mack anymore for a few weeks, but I think that Justin Herbert and this offense can pull through that time period because their schedule is pretty favorable, I would say. but Justin Herbert's playing well. I want to see O'Marion Hampton break through a little bit more, especially now that Najee Harris is out for the year. The defense is holding him when they need to. Digger, the kicker, is coming in clutch. So it's all positive vibes in Charger land right now. And even though their fan base doesn't care, they should care because the Chargers look like a playoff caliber team, and this looks like a team that can go further in the early going.
And let's not lie, both defenses between the Chargers and Broncos are playoff caliber defenses. They've shown that.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But
The other team I tried to tell you guys about.
Yep, you're right.
We
John,
already known about the Chargers.
We should listen to John more and cherish his knowledge because
It's hard to do when I'm saying they're going to be better than the Chiefs.
Well, it's hard to believe it because
we also didn't anticipate the Chiefs being this lackluster so far. So
Tyquan Porter's been solid.
Yeah, and also one thing I want to mention, and this is probably a nitpicky thing. The game in Brazil that the Chargers won, that's huge because it technically was – they actually had a better home game than they would in a regular Charger home game. But the second game they play is on December 14th in Kansas City. If the Chargers can win that game, that'd be massive. So – let's see. I'm getting Brewer Reds updates like crazy here. Oh my God, we'll get into baseball soon.
And one for the Guardians. They have a leadoff triple.
Yeah. Oh my God, baseball is getting crazy. All right, we're gonna get into baseball in a little bit. Right now, we got to get into fresh spreads, which is how we pick games based on the spread. The stats. I'll put it this way: I suck at picking spreads. I suck at picking spreads. I suck at 4-square 4-leg parlays. I need to turn it around.
it's always time to redeem yourself.
And I think it's week 4. It's week 4.
Any time is a good time.
Any given Sunday, I need one. All right, we're going to start off with the – all right, actually, before we get into this fresh bread, let's take a little trip. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt McDaniel. I'm from Ireland, and the reason why I'm here is because there's a game in Ireland this week. It's between the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This will be the first game in Ireland ever in NFL history. So we're going to go with these spread picks right now. I'm going to talk like this, okay? So we're going to the Vikings at the Steelers. Vikings minus 2.5. We're going to start off with Kevin.
I'm actually surprised that the Vikings are favored in this because even with Carson Wentz as their current quarterback, because J. McCarthy is just terrible. And with the Steelers, I mean, I know that like they didn't play the best last week, but at least they won. I got the Steelers in this for the plus 2.5. Again, I need to see more from Justin Jefferson because, as you know, I have him in fantasy. I still have a tiny bit of little faith left in him, but I need to see more from him. Like I don't care if your quarterback is J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz. You need to be getting him the ball, and I don't think it's enough that. Like, yes, they got a blowout win last week with Carson Wentz. Good job. But Steelers are a different team, and I think they're a better team than what you've been facing. So I think Steelers should be covering that or should be getting the plus 2.5 there.
All right, Alec, what do you think?
You really want me to do the voice?
You could.
Oh my
You don't
goodness.
talk.
Well, you're wanting to tempt me, are you? Well, nah, I'm not feeling it. But
Okay.
All right, so last week the Vikings they blew the Bengals out the water like crazy. I mean, are you kidding? Isaiah Rodgers had a perfect PFF grade. That doesn't even happen all the time. It happens once in a blue moon. The Steelers, on the other hand, we got 5 takeaways on the Patriots, 4 of them being fumbles. Outside that, the offense has been alarmingly lackluster. We couldn't even get a 3rd down conversion for 2 full quarters, and we didn't get one until our game-winning drive. And the defense outside those takeaways was getting gashed all around. It wasn't until the most opportune moments where it showed up the most where we got those takeaways. Now we're going up against Carson Wentz and company. Now, Justin Jefferson is a dog. There's no doubting that. And Jordan Addison is coming back onto the fold. But now, you're dealing with a Vikings defense that can destroy worlds. I'm not overly optimistic about this game, and the logic points to the Vikings winning this, but I know what the Steelers do. I know that we somehow pull off victories of and pull a rabbit out of the hats. Don't ask it. It happens. So for that reason, I'm going with the Steelers.
Okay, so we're going with the dog. John Welch, how you feeling?
Well, you know those little things on the Steelers logo, the little lucky charms they have on that logo. Well, I don't think that's going to hold up very strongly for old Aaron Rodgers and those Steelers from Pittsburgh. Give me the Vikings.
Well done. I appreciate the effort. I'm going with this Pittsburgh Steelers here. For some reason I can't trust Carson Wentz right now. He hasn't really have a lot of experience since he got benched in Philadelphia. So I'm going with the Vikings. With the Steelers rather. All right. Next up, we're going to go with the Washington Commanders without Jaden Daniels at the Atlanta Falcons. Again, no Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin for the Commanders, and the Falcons are 2-point favorites. Kev.
Even though that the Commanders did win last week without Jaden Daniels, losing him and Terry McLaurin this week is not going to bode well for them. With that being said, I still think the Commanders are going to beat the Falcons because the Falcons' defense, their defensive line, I think is fine, but their secondary is a big question mark, regardless of if McLaurin is there or not. I do feel like Deebo Samuel should be getting more targets in that sense with his absence gone. Falcons, I think they'll have a strong running game with Bijan Robinson, but I don't think it'll be enough against the Commanders. So I'll say Commanders barely win the game, but I think they do. I'll take them with the +1.5.
Okay, so we're going with the underdogs to cover. Alec?
Well, same reasoning as Kev. Even though Terry McLaurin is going to be out, Washington still pulls this out because they're a well-coached team and a well-coached organization. Atlanta, they do have a solid defense, which saw improvement. Their secondary outside of A.J. Terrell needs work. And offensively, just say that Michael Penix Jr. needs a lot of work.
All right, I agree with you on that. First for all the years as a starter. John?
The Falcons were completely embarrassed last week to the point where they fired their wide receiver coach. And the Commanders are hammered on offense. Bill Krusky-Merritt is questionable. No Scary Terry. Daniels is out. So that really limits weapons. And I think the Falcons are going to have a chip on their shoulder. So I like the Falcons by at least a field goal.
Oh, I'm going to be serious here. I'm going to get out of the Irish stuff because we're not talking about the Irish game anymore. I'm going to go with the Falcons. No Jane Daniels and no Terry McLaurin. You lose your top receiver and your quarterback. I think that's going to not bode well for you. And Atlanta's got a good team. They're not great, but maybe they can make some noise here and make a statement. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Buffalo Bills.
I really thought you were going to get up and start river dancing.
I really could river dance. I really could.
Top of the morning, laddie.
Lord of the spread.
Or anyway, New Orleans Saints at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 15.5-point favorites. Kevin.
No, John, it's Saint of the spread. Okay. Bills easily cover. Saints are garbage. 14.5. I feel like he's being generous.
Alec?
Same thing as Kev said. 14.5 is doing it no justice to how the Bills are going to be hammering the Saints in this game.
It's going to be a bloodbath, John.
Give me those Bills, Buffalo, and that Rattler by a little bit of a Spencer. The 14.5 is not enough.
Okay, then. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Next up, we've got the Cleveland Browns at Detroit. Detroit, a 10-point favorite. Kev?
Again, Lions, I feel that spread's too low. I mean, actually, let me rephrase that. I mean, if Browns have a good enough defense to beat the Packers, the Lions are a different story. I mean, I think that the Browns figured out something against that offense in particular. But the Lions are a different scenario. I'll say Lions win, but they don't cover. I'll say like maybe by 8 points they win.
Oh, okay, so the Lions win, but they don't cover. We're going with the +10. All right, Alec?
All right, so as we mentioned, the Browns, they have an elite enough defense just to catch up with anybody. Though I feel last year was a down year defensively for them, but a Jim Schwartz-led defense is a dangerous defense. That in itself cannot be taken for granted. The Lions, however, are a different animal compared to a Packers team that was missing 2 of their starting offensive linemen. The Lions, the offensive line is a much different story. We were all concerned about them at the beginning of the year. Well, those worries are gone now. Now you have to deal with their running game. As Sonic and Knuckles are they going to be running circles around here? But Jared Goff, however, I feel they can slow down the Browns can slow down the passing game, but the running game is going to take off from here. Lions barely cover.
Barely cover. All right, John.
I am officially putting the United States on Sanders' watch. Kevin, you talked about the Packers and the Lions. Well, the Packers beat the Lions, so it's really interesting to try and do the math on how this is going to play out.
Right.
If the Browns put in Sanders and play a scheme that the Lions D hasn't been ready for, hasn't been training for, hasn't had any video to study for, I give the edge to the Browns, and I think it's a little bit more exciting than people think. So I'll take the 10.
Okay, so taking the 10. I'm going to go with the Lions as well. I just like the way Dan Campbell can bite your kneecaps off with this team. I like the aggressive and the grit that this team provides. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are 4.5-point favorites at home. Kev?
Panthers actually really surprised me the way that they absolutely mollywhopped the Falcons. I think the final score was 33-0. Did not expect that. Yeah, did not expect that at all from the Panthers. So they really surprised me. I mean, 5.5-point favorite for the Patriots. I mean, Patriots had a rough game last week against the Steelers, but against the Panthers, I mean, if Panthers keep playing like that, I mean, they could be like the latter half version of themselves. Remember last season, the final few games they started to really flourish. I feel like this could be a similar case for the Panthers. I mean, if they start playing like that against these teams, then you never know. They could be playing spoiler at this point. But I do think Patriots just squeak this out, but they don't cover.
Okay, Alec, what do you think?
Oh, man. Look, I was about to ask about where my flowers are, but at the same time, I did not expect the Panthers to completely embarrass the Falcons the way they did. I mean, who even saw this coming? Look, I expected a closer game than whatever that was last week. I mean, what were we doing, Falcons? Come on. The Patriots, however, I feel they have to get back to the drawing board because 4 fumbles, 5 turnovers against the Steelers is not going to cut it. Fortunately, the Panther defense isn't up to par like what the Steelers defense is. The Panthers got a pick 6 off of Michael Penix Jr., albeit being 13 yards. However, this is going to be a much tighter contest for the Panthers. This time around, I feel that's going to handle. Drake May is still Drake May, though we may be seeing the emergence of Kayshon Boutte as wide receiver 1 on the Patriots. Not well known, but I feel he's established himself. Stephon Diggs is getting up there in age, and I feel the Patriot defense, they badly need Christian Gonzalez as soon as possible. I feel the Patriots will squeak this one out because I don't see them realistically covering. The Panthers will make it interesting, but the Patriots just squeak it out.
Okay, so the Patriots do not cover. John?
What's the spread?
5.5 points.
Ooh. Oh, that's easy. Give me the Patriots.
Easy. This is not easy for me, but I'll take the Patriots. All right, next up, we got a big clash in the NFC. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the kryptonite of the defending Super Bowl champions. But the Eagles are 3.5-point favorites on the road, though. No Mike Evans. Kev.
That's good. That's an interesting game. I feel like that's going to be a close game too, because Eagles, I don't think they look as good as they did last year, especially with the fact that they barely beat the Rams and it took a blocked field goal at the end for them to beat them. Buccaneers, on the other hand, even with no Mike Evans, I feel like guys like Emeka Egbuka, Bucky Irving will show up. I heard they're supposed to get Chris Godwin back, so he might come into the forefront in the receiving core as well. Eagles are still going to have a good defense, and they're still going to have an offense mostly rush heavy because Jalen Hurts barely even needs to pass the ball, and because he's getting 1-yard rushing touchdowns on tush pushes at the 1-yard line to have any semblance. It'll be a close game. I mean, whoever wins, I don't think covers. I say the Bucks. I say the Bucks win, and Bucks win the +3.5. I think it'll be a 3-point victory. I say Bucks get this upset.
Okay, so the Bucks upset. Alec, what do you think?
This could be an upset game, one to watch here. The Eagles, they had their convincing victory. The Buccaneers, they won all their games with game-winning drives. They did it against Atlanta. They did it the next week against Houston. And then just last week, they did it against a Jets team right after the Jets blocked a field goal with Will McDonald and returning it all the way to the touchdown. And then Baker Mayfield, he needed to have his revenge story arc. He needed someone to get revenge to. Oh, here's Steve Wilkes. Perfect guy to get revenge on. well, there has to be someone that he has to get revenge on here on the Eagles. Anyone? Hello? No worries. He's going to get revenge anyways. Hey, it's because we know him. Plus, I know Mike Evans is out, but perfect timing. Chris Godwin's coming back. I don't expect him to get a ton of looks because I feel he's going to be on a snap count. It's almost been a full year since he's last been to action, but he's going to get a lot of help anyway. And Emeka Egbuka and Sterling Shepard are getting much of the targets, and Bucky Irving running down other people's throats. Buccaneers for the win.
Buccaneers. Okay. Now I gotta quit the Irish accent because we do have some breaking news. The Philadelphia Phillies have lost to the Minnesota Twins 5-0. So what does that mean? Wow. It means that the Milwaukee Brewers have clinched home field advantage throughout the entire MLB playoffs. This is a pause in what we're doing right now. This is pretty significant. Baseball is in the grand scheme of things this episode. I just saw it go final 5-0. Minnesota pulls off the upset. But that means good for Brewers fans. You can lose this game and you can actually celebrate and pop the champagne. But anyway, back to Ireland football stuff. John, how are you feeling about this one? Eagles and Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers are way too injured for my liking. Evans is significant, but they're also pretty hurt on their O-line, and that scares me, especially against one of the best defensive lines in the league. So I'm taking the Eagles to cover.
You're taking the Eagles to cover -3.5. Okay. Well, I'm going to take the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers have proven to be their kryptonites over the last several years. Tampa Bay does well at home against the Eagles, and I think that's going to continue. All right, moving on. We're going to continue on the clock. Jackson Dart makes his NFL debut against the 3-0 Los Angeles Chargers at MetLife Stadium at home. Chargers 6.5-point favorites on the road. Kev.
I'm going to play it safe here and say Chargers win and they cover, but nothing would make me more happy than to be completely wrong and for Jackson Dart to ball out in that first game. And if Giants win that game, that is a clear statement win. And then the Jackson Dart stock is going to skyrocket upwards. But if he does bad, then I'm not gonna feel too bad like if he plays bad, because like going against the Chargers defense like that, Chargers are one of the best defenses in the league like as well. Like Derwin James, I feel like is one of the best defensive players this year. He could be winning defensive player of the year so far, at least in my opinion. Like he's been that good defensively. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough, man. I'm gonna just play it safe and say Chargers win and cover, but I desperately want Dart and the Giants to pull this one out.
Your head says one thing, your heart says another. Mm-hmm. Alec.
Well, also playing it safe. I don't see the Giants winning this one, but it will do them a big favor if Jackson Dart performs or it exceeds expectations. Ideally, you want to start him against the Saints next week, but given how Russell Wilson's stock has been falling, seriously, he got cut from the Steelers. That's a red flag. But his stock has been falling. Ideally, you want to have Jackson Dart start next week. Then you have to make a decision on who to start this week. Jameis? I don't know, but I have to say, who got better than us? Nobody.
All right, John, what do you think?
I have to. I mean, as one of my favorite things is these pairings and the nicknames that we come up with, like Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit. I honestly believe that Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo are going to be lightning and thunder. I'm waiting for some sort of T-shirt with their faces on the front, and it's called Scat Dart.
Scat dart. I like that.
Something like that. But that's the kind of energy that New York Giants fans are looking for. It's just not going to be against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to play safe here too, unfortunately. I'm going to take the Chargers minus 6.5. I hate to say it, but I can't really have anything validate to me picking the other side. All right, next up, we're going to go to the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Both teams are 0-3. Houston -7. Kev.
I'm picking the Texans. I think this should be a get right game for the Houston Texans. They've had a couple of close games, especially that one on week 2 against the Buccaneers. But historically, I mean, like for like the longest time, the Texans have completely owned the Titans whenever they played against each other. So I see this being no different. Texans should win that 7.5-point favorite and easily cover.
All right, Alec.
Oh, sorry, Tennessee, but we're going to remember the Titans for another day. The Texans, they've had a really poor start, and division hopes. I'm more concerned about them making the playoffs at this current rate because things have been spiraling down fast. Offensive line is troublesome, but Tennessee's offensive line problems are even more troublesome. Drop problems, Tennessee has those. And no other receiver has impressed me a lot in Houston besides Nico Collins. And things are off to a shaky start. But this is why the problems are more than just no Joe Mixon. Their defense is legit. Where's that from Tennessee? Well, this is going to be by the skin of Houston's teeth. They win, but don't cover.
All right, John, what are you thinking?
It's a whole touchdown now, huh? It was a lot less at the beginning of the week.
It was.
So that makes it interesting to me. This is one of my toughest because I don't believe in Houston, but I believe in them enough to cover a touchdown.
I'm gonna go with the same thing. I'm gonna say Texans barely cover because the Titans are just that bad. But they're missing a lot. Their offensive line isn't great. They're missing Tank Dell on the receiving side. Their defense isn't up to par. Like there's a lot of flaws. So I'm going with the Texans, but they barely cover. Next up, we got Indiana Jones, the Daniel Joneses, and the Los Angeles Rams in LA. Rams are a 3.5-point favorites. Give.
Well, to mimic what John said about how the Texans was going to be his toughest one to call, I think this one is going to be my toughest game to call because I do anticipate this one to be a close game. But I think that for the Colts, I think this is going to be like their first true test because I don't really think that they versed like really anybody in the first 3 weeks. So against the Rams, who should have been beating the Eagles, but couldn't because of that blocked field goal. I mean, the Rams, I think, are playing some solid football right now, and at home. A 3.5-point favorite, I'd say Rams are going to win and Colts are finally going to lose, but the Rams don't cover. I think they win by 3 points.
All right, Alec.
Well, Kevin has said about this being in the Colts' first true test. I felt that their first true test was against the Broncos, and they passed that, albeit on a leverage penalty. So
That's what I'm saying.
But also that the Broncos are not a nobody in the NFL. They are a playoff team from last year. Though then again, Bo Nix does have his limitations, and the Broncos are going to be tested this year with the running game as well. But the Colts have an impressive start. Daniel Jones is finding his mechanics. Jonathan Taylor is still Jonathan Taylor. The Rams are a juggernaut defensively, and Matthew Stafford has his dream receiver duo in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Who could have thought that Devontae Adams would be an upgrade over Cooper Kupp? But for them, that at the very least. But I feel with this one, I think that the Cinderella run for the Colts will come to a standstill at this current moment because I have the Rams and they cover.
So the Rams cover, so it ends the Cinderella story. The clock strikes midnight at that point. John?
I like the Rams too. They lost to the Eagles, but they were beating the Eagles pretty much the entire game until they came back. So I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be right around 4-point game, but I like the Rams.
Okay. All right, now I'm officially going to stop the Irish accent for now. It's kind of died down. I'm going to go with the Rams minus 3.5. I think Daniel Jones had a really solid run for those first 3 games. He lucked out on the Broncos game, as mentioned before. I'm going to take the Rams in this one. All right, next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the San Francisco 49ers, who are getting a couple key players back. Niners minus 3.5. Kev?
This one's a quick one. Niners by a touchdown. Even though that they have some injuries up their sleeve, I still think Niners should be pulling it out at home against Jacksonville.
Okay, Alec.
Oh, hey, welcome back, Brock Purdy. Your team needs you as the first thing onto the field. So Jacksonville, I don't know what type of team they are, even through 3 games, because they've been okay, but they're not. But nothing has really convinced me that they're good enough to beat a team like the 49ers. But then again, the 49ers themselves have been okay for the most part. So I think this is going to be closer than people think. But the 49ers should still pull this one out, covering.
All right, John.
49ers.
49ers as well. All right, next up we got a battle between 2 teams who are surprisingly 1-2. The Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore, 2.5-point favorite. This game is in Arrowhead. This is probably going to be the game of the week on CBS. Kev?
I think the Ravens win this game because I feel like after losing to the Lions, I don't think there's any way. There's no way that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to allow themselves to lose against the Chiefs, who are probably one of the most disappointing teams this season and one of the more overrated teams this season.
Overrated is a good word.
Yeah, and I understand that, like, it's at Arrowhead, but, like, you got to understand the fact that the Ravens, like, they also have Super Bowl aspirations, and, like, the one thing that they haven't been able to do is get over the hump in the playoffs. And I think the way that they get back on track this season is to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs are probably going to find a way over the course of the season to, like, get back there anyway. But for the Ravens, if you lose against the Chiefs, that's a concern because, like, even though the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, but they are not dominant as we once thought they were.
No.
Keep in mind that they still have injuries. They still have no Rashee Rice, no Xavier Worthy, and their receivers, like, other than Travis Kelce, who's been struggling in double coverage, you really only have, like, 2 real guys who can catch you the ball. I mean, Tyquan Thornton has been great. Juju Smith-Schuster is barely there, and Hollywood Brown is just like the second guy to throw the ball to besides Thornton. And the running game is barely there. Isaiah Pacheco is, like, barely a thing.
Non-existent.
Exactly. So I do think the Ravens bounce back in this one, and I think they do cover that 2.5 points.
Okay, interesting. Alec?
My gripe about the Ravens is not with how they were repeatedly taking sacks against the Lions. The Lions defense has been a revelation over this season and last season with Aaron Glenn. The thing is, the Ravens defense is alarmingly bad. I mean, take a look at it for 3 weeks. Look, they had that one game against the Browns, but if you're giving up 41 to the Bills and 38 to the Lions, that's not a great start. Now, this game's going to be much, much tighter. Kansas City's defense is still intact, but which one's going to be even more bad, the Ravens defense or the Chiefs offense? Granted, they will be getting Xavier Worthy back soon, but Kansas City does not look dominant offensively. Now, Patrick Mahomes did play well in the first 2 weeks. Last week, he was rusty, alarmingly rusty. But against the Ravens defense that's been ailing, this is a get-right game for the Chiefs offense. Now, I want to wonder why Matt Nagy is still here. He should have been fired after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. He should have been. He should have actually been fired.
He really should have been canned.
But this year is get right for both teams. But honestly, knowing how the Ravens have a habit of beating themselves, and with Nagy is being ultra conservative, the only way that Mahomes leads the Chiefs to a win is backyard football, which he does nicely. And the Ravens, they're historically not a good fourth quarter team under John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
It should point to the Ravens, but knowing all sorts of logic, it's going to be the Chiefs on an upset.
So you're going the opposite way, John.
Yep. I'm going the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that backwards pass that Chris Collinsworth said that Mahomes was a hero because he went out and grabbed it and stole that ball?
I couldn't stand that, dude. I couldn't stand it.
That's not happening against this Ravens D. I like the Ravens a lot. I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Every time they've had a moment where they need to step up, they've fallen short. Between the playoff game last year where they missed the 2-point conversion to the Henry fumble. I think they're going to tighten up. I think they're going to get the screws down, and I think This is going to be really weird to say, but I think the Chiefs are 1-3 after Sunday.
You know what? I'm going to swing that way as well. I have more faith in the Ravens because of their high-powered offense than this Chiefs team. I know it's an Arrowhead, but Baltimore is just better than this Chiefs team. They are. I'll just be honest. All right, we're past the bottom of the hour, but I'm just get right into it with DAS Technology Consulting. One of our sponsors, one of our proud sponsors of Foursquare Sports. If you want to know more about how DAS Technology Consulting, a company that's been around for over 30 years, can help you in your IT infrastructure needs, take a listen.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
Thank you, DAS Technology Consulting, and everything that you do for this show. All right, we're going to continue with fresh spreads now. Three of us have the Ravens, and only Alec is going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Next game, this concludes the 4 o'clock slate. The Bears at the Raiders. Raiders minus 1.5. Kev?
You know what? Give me the Bears in this one to do the plus 1.5. I do feel like that the Bears, that win against the Cowboys. Thank you. So I can keep laughing at Cowboys fans more. But I do feel like the Bears, like they may have found something like in that last game. I thought like they're fine to start their groove a little bit. I know that like DJ Moore like didn't have the best game, but I thought Luther Burton had a great game last game. Against the Raiders, it's a little bit more interesting because I need to see more from Ashton Genty. I think that he's been very disappointing from like what was advertised, like what he was going to be this season, which is
right.
Run the ball like through everybody, and like hasn't been the case this season. So if the Bears defense can get after Genty, I mean, like I feel like they're going to have to be relying on their receivers. I mean, Trey Tucker could have a big game. I know he had a big game a couple weeks ago, had like over 40 points in fantasy. But I do think the Bears are going to win this one. I think by probably a little bit more than a touchdown, I would say.
I'm going to say I like that pick a lot. Alec?
Hey, I also like that pick. If anything, Caleb Williams and company needed last week for a confidence boost on this team. Every passing week, Ben Johnson and his team has been getting better. The offense is clicking. They're all in sync. Romo Dunze, DJ Moore, and hey, hello, Luther Burden. Welcome to the show. How about some fleet flickers to go with it? The running game still needs progress, but I do love what I'm seeing from the passing game. Colston Loveland's been getting progress, and against a Raiders defense that's bottom half of the league, that could go nicely too. The Raiders, they do need more from Ashton Genty because he's getting more yards after contact than actual rushing yards, which is alarming, to say the least. But having Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator does not do any justice. Why is he back in the NFL? He ruined LaShawn McCoy and DeMarco Murray, for those wondering. So if he ruins Ashton Genty, there's going to be heck to pay if you're from Las Vegas. This game, however, we know how the story is going to go. Bears.
I love that. I love that, John.
I see it a little bit differently. I look at where the Bears were able to win, and it was against a Cowboys team that didn't have CeeDee Lamb for 3 quarters. They're already pretty weak in the secondary. Can you name me a linebacker on the Cowboys team? I think the Raiders team is a little bit tougher to play, and I think this. I don't think the Bears are going to have. The Bears are soft at linebacker. They had a couple injuries the last couple weeks. I don't think they have an answer for Brock Bowers. Give me the Raiders.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bears, though. And the reason why is because I can't ignore the improvement of Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson, I know the Bears are 1-2. It hasn't gone their way in 2 of those 3 games. But the improvement is there across all marks. I know the Cowboys are considered a weak team, but you know what? They beat the Cowboys pretty convincingly 31-14 last week. And I think that we're finally going to see that 4,000-yard threshold be broken by a Bears QB. Never happened. So, I got the Bears plus 1.5. Next up, we have oh my God, this is the game of the week, Bob, probably. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons is coming back to Dallas to haunt his old uniform. The Packers 7-point favorite. Kev.
Oh, is it going to be so delightful to see Micah Parsons completely shred and tear apart his former team. It's going to be unbelievable. Packers win by 100.
I wish that was the case. Alex?
You know, I feel the Packers, they are angry from last week after that loss to the Browns. But this week, up against that battered Cowboys defense, now I know they are getting Deron Bland back to complete that duel between him and Trayvon Diggs. I don't know if you can name another defender outside of those two on the Cowboys defense. I don't think you can. So even though the Packers are going to be down 2 starting linemen and their backup right tackle for this game, in all likelihood, I don't think it's going to be a contest by the third quarter. Packers by at least 2 touchdowns, and Jerry, come out to play.
I love all of this. John?
I just want to know how many Packers fans are going to be in the stands holding "Thanks, Jerry."
A ton.
I want the over under on how many times people say "Thanks, Jerry." Give me the Packers. I don't like Jordan Love, but I like the Cowboys less. So give me the Packers.
You know what? We talked about Caleb Williams progressing. It seems like Jordan Love gets a little bit better every single week ever since he got the starting job in Green Bay. And this Cowboys team got toasted by Caleb Williams and the Bears. And in front of 100,000 people, watch Micah Parsons get 2 sacks. Watch.
At least.
Oh, yeah. I'm counting on it.
Oh,
I'm taking the Packers all the way. All right. Now we got 2 Monday night games. We got the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins minus 2.5. Both teams are 0-3. Kev?
So Jets, I know they didn't have Justin Fields healthy last week, but they're going to get him back Monday against the Dolphins. Dolphins, even though they lost that game Thursday night, their past game Thursday Night Football against the Bills, they played better and they played closer than I thought. The score was closer than expected from what I thought it was going to be. Dolphins defense, I thought played a little bit better. I thought that Tyreek Hill and Jaden Waddle were able to get more looks. But it's very tough because with Justin Fields back, I don't know how rusty he's gonna be with his first week back, and I don't know how the Dolphins defense is gonna respond well if they can cover Garrett Wilson down the field, if they have a good run defense against Breece Hall. Is A-Chan gonna go off? Is Tyreek and Jaden Waddle gonna get consistent targets? These are all questions you gotta ask. So I think the spread is correct. I do think 2.5 points is fair. To post on that. It'll be tough, dude. I really think I'll say the Dolphins barely cover, but maybe win by 3 points, simply due to the fact that I do think that they're starting to play a little bit better. But I would not be surprised if Jets did come and win this game, but I'll say Dolphins barely squeak it out. I think this is a pick 'em.
Wow. Okay. Alec?
It's a swing game. It can go one way or another because Justin Fields is coming back from his concussion, and we don't know how he's going to play in his first game back. We do know about Breece Hall and the ground game. Garrett Wilson has been going on strong.
He has.
With the Jets. The Jets defense does have a clear identity now. The Dolphins, they did play their hearts out against the Bills. The question is it going to last? I would not be surprised if either team wins. I would also not be surprised if Tua throws another back-breaking turnover that loses the Dolphins the game. So I'm leaning more towards the Jets in this one.
Wow.
Not by much, though.
Okay, so you have the Jets upsetting.
Yes.
All right. John.
Jets. By a mile.
Jets. Jets. And Mike McDaniel gets fired after the game.
Mike McDaniel is my fresh finder fired.
Love that.
Oh,
All right.
oh,
Next up, and last but not least, we got the Cincinnati Bengals up by Jake Browning at Denver Broncos in Mile High. Broncos favored by 7.5. Kev?
I think Broncos should be winning this fairly easily. I mean, like, let's be honest. Jamar Chase has not been his superstar self this season. Like, I don't know if it's a combination of not getting enough targets or like Burrow getting hurt. And I understand this is Jake Browning at the quarterback instead. But Broncos as a collective unit, I do like their chances against the Bengals team, who I know they got Hendrickson back on a 1-year deal just for this year. But I don't think that their overall team makeup, especially with now Browning as quarterback, reflects that. I do think that Broncos are going to be winning this game fairly easily. I would say by a couple of touchdowns. I do expect Cortland Sutton to have a good game. I also expect J.K. Dobbins to have a good game because J.K. Dobbins, I think, has been fairly consistent on the ground this season. So give me Broncos.
Okay, Alec?
oh, if last week was bad enough, if you're the Bengals, well, this week you gotta hope that last week cannot be replicated because up against two elite defenses, you cannot have games like those if you're Jake Browning. Now, Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is T. Higgins. That in itself cannot be denied. But you need to play much better this week against the Broncos. Bo Nix, of course, is going to have its limitations, but up against a bad Bengals defense, this could be the game that he needs to bounce back for the Broncos. And you know what? I'll say Denver wins by a mile.
By a mile. I like it. John?
By a mile high. Give me the Broncos. I don't think they are going to recover. It's sad. It's tough. It shows you how important the quarterback position is.
It is.
They did not have an offense last week. That defense scored twice on, and there was just no getting on the same page between Browning and his wide receivers.
No.
I don't think they can make up the difference against a really good Broncos D. And we all know that the Bengals don't have a defense at all. Unfortunately, they're going to make Bo Nix look really good.
I'm going to say the Broncos as well. And I think people do need to understand the altitude in Mile High is really considered an advantage that people don't really take seriously. Like being a mile high above sea level, struggling to breathe is different. It's all different when you're going to Denver, Colorado. So I'm taking the Broncos, and I think they covered minus 7.5 easily. Okay. We got through football, and I'm glad we did, but we got to get to Major League Baseball. First off, congratulations to the Seattle Mariners for winning the AL West for the first time since 2001.
Yeah.
24 years.
I cannot do champagne on this live show.
No,
So
we
I'm
can't.
just putting out.
We cannot drink
bottle of water.
alcohol or beverages on this program. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm just acting like this bottle of water is such.
Hey, listen, water is great for you. Drink a lot of water. Don't
I've got
beer money.
Martinelli's hard cider, so that's what I'm popping later.
Nice.
Hey, celebrate all you want.
Anyway, the image that people in Seattle are going to have for the rest of their lives, or at least until the playoffs begin, is Victor Robles diving for a fly ball in the gap.
That was insane. That was an insane catch by Robles. And to think, that's the same guy who when he was doing rehab starts and for the minor league team, same guy who threw the bat at the opposing pitcher and got suspended for a few games. He does that diving play to basically get the Mariners to a division title. That's
the play right there that Mariner fans are going to remember for the rest of their lives because he came out of thin air. He was like Superman.
Also, that was terrible base running by that Astros player. That was terrible base running.
Myers,
yeah.
He was halfway to home plate, and when he caught the fly ball, he didn't know he caught it, and then they threw it back to second easily for the double play to end it.
Oh, boy.
I don't understand what happened to Houston. They kind of look like they've given up. Like they just that series just took a lot out of them, and they dropped a game to the Angels the other day. So
Yep.
I don't know what's going on with Houston, but I don't care. I'm excited. I don't think anybody was cheering for Houston, but people that actually lived in Texas. And this is there's been a lot of history made. Cal Raleigh beating Ken Griffey Jr.'s home run record,
60 home runs.
setting the record for home runs by a catcher. I think he tied the Great Bambino's home run record. So
He did.
there's a lot of history that Seattle has never had, and we kind of don't know what to do with it. We're still pitching ourselves up here.
And the thing is, too, they're going to have the 2 seed in the AL playoffs. They'll face either the 3 seed versus the 6 seed, which, by the way, we're going to go through a little bit of scoreboard watching. Actually, we're going to do scoreboard watching for the most part this episode because Major League Baseball is literally right around the corner from the playoffs, the best time of the year. The Detroit Tigers won, but in order for the Astros to be officially eliminated, they're keeping an eye on what happens in Cleveland. And right now, the Rangers are tied with the Guardians at 2, top of the 8th, no outs, and the Rangers have men on first and second. If the Guardians win, Houston's out. If the Guardians lose and Houston wins, then it comes down to the final day tomorrow. If Houston loses, no matter what, it's over.
Yep.
So the magic number for the Guardians is 1. Either they win or Houston loses.
Who could have seen this from the Guardians, though? To overcome a 15.5 game deficit in their division? What?
But
I honestly can't.
By the way, for the Astros Angels game a little bit later, both teams are doing bullpen games.
What?
Whoa!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I just looked at the pitching matchups. Both teams are doing bullpen games.
That's crazy.
Dude.
That is absolutely wild. And also, while we're on the cusp of talking about the playoffs, I mentioned it in the breaking news while we were in the middle of doing Fresh Breads. The Brewers have clinched home field advantage in all the Major League playoffs. So the road to the World Series in the National League runs through Milwaukee. So Lily Schumacher is probably celebrating popping champagne somewhere. Congratulations, Brewers fans. You deserve it. And it all happened because I'm sitting here watching the Phillies Minnesota Twins press conference post-game, and Minnesota won 5-0. In a game they didn't have to play in.
Seattle's doing something interesting tonight. They are debuting Henry Ford at catcher, and Cal Raleigh is going to be DH. They're trying to get him another home run tonight.
Oh, my God. They're going to try everything they can to do it. They're going to try.
Didn't Raleigh play DH last night, too, and Garver was catching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now, in order for Raleigh to break the home run record, he would need 3 homers in 2 games. I don't have the Dodgers pitching matchup in front of me. They're probably going to go with a lower end starter. All right, what?
I can tell you. But no, they're going to do – the Dodgers are rolling out Tyler Glass now against Logan Gilbert.
That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Because the Dodgers are playing in the wild card. They don't have to do that.
Yeah, you have the free seed in the National League. Why would you send out Glass now? You could just go with a bullpen game.
Yeah, you could just do a bullpen game the final 2 games.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose at the rest of the regular season.
Didn't they technically do that last night? Did they technically do that last night?
They technically did it last night, but they didn't have to.
Right.
But, see, here's the thing. A lot of these teams don't know what they're doing at this point in the year. Like, look at what the Diamondbacks did a couple days ago. They didn't have a bullpen game, but they didn't have to when they could have started Zach Gallen.
That was terrible. I don't agree with that decision at all.
And that cost them the playoffs.
Yeah, Arizona's bullpen is among one of the league's worst.
Yeah, it didn't make sense whatsoever, and they paid the price for it. The Mets won 5-0 today, and Milwaukee, you're losing 7-3 to the Reds, but that doesn't matter. The only people who are complaining right now are Mets fans.
Sorry,
who won 5-0 against the Marlins.
Reds fans, I feel this game now only matters for Reds fans.
Yeah, and I got a text from Jake Cardinelli, a good friend of ours. He said, damn, this means the Brewers are going to take it easy tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
If you're Frank the Tank, I can only imagine how you're feeling right now after this.
That dude's got it rough. He's a Mets and Dolphins fan.
Oh,
and both are not doing good.
Dude.
Poor
He's
guy.
got it rough.
That's got to be brutal being a Dolphins fan and a Met fan, which is a weird combo, by the way. I've seen giant Met fans. I've seen giant Yankee fans. I'm one. I've seen Jet Met fans, which God help you if you're a Jets Mets fan.
And I've seen people who are just Ets fans, Jets, Mets, and Nets. You're Ets fan.
the holy
Ets
trinity.
fans are weird. That's weird as hell if you're an Ets fan.
Ets fans.
Yeah, Ets, all the Ets.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Jets, Mets, Nets, yeah.
God bless those people.
Well,
Give me the Ets.
Give me the Ets. One thing I also do want to mention. So I mentioned Seattle and their amazing accomplishment. Congrats to them. The AL East is going to get the 1 seed in the American League playoffs, and I've been on cardiac arrest the last couple of days. I have not had to call in Marcus Stewart yet, but I'm very close to. And if John doesn't know who Marcus Stewart is, let me see. Where are my glasses?
Yep, that's him.
Hi, John. How are you? I'm Marcus Stewart. I'm a PhD in therapy. I used to be an insurance guy, but I decided to go to therapy because people get so upset with their sports problems. If you need help, call 1-2-3-456-7890.
unbelievable. You're killing me with all these theatrical acting you're putting on that. You already have the Stewart, and then you have the Irish accent going on like earlier in the episode.
I'm the Dr. Phil of sports.
So now Marcus Stewart is like a fictional character for this whole thing. I didn't think we'd have fictional characters, but apparently we do.
Well,
oh my god. But anyway, AL East comes down to tomorrow. The Yankees won today with Cam Schlittler, who pitched 7 brilliant innings. The Blue Jays won with Yasevich, and the Rays have proven that they are terrible and they don't respect the Yankees for giving them our stadium.
Quick mini rant on what the Rays did today. I'm sorry, but this I think is a fireable offense. They pinch hit Yandy Diaz, who's batting 300, is one of their best consistent hitters. They pinch hit him in the 5th inning for Bob Seymour, who was batting under 200, 197. That is
bad.
terrible. I don't care if you're out of playoff contention. That is terrible to do, especially when he's been one of your best players consistently this season. I think that's a fireable offense, in my opinion. That is terrible.
It really should be. Like, one thing I mentioned, Yasevich was throwing high fastballs early and often, and the Rays were being dumb and swinging at every pitch.
The Rays were swinging at fastballs higher than Mount Kilimanjaro. Like, it was pissing me off. Like,
yeah, no,
it
pissed me off too, because the Yankees have this easy schedule, and they can't take advantage of it because Tampa Bay, for the life of them, just doesn't want to win.
If only Will Warren won that last start again, not yesterday, but his last start in that first 4-game series against Baltimore. But he redeemed himself yesterday. But if only he won that first game, man.
You want to know what's gonna make the Yankee fans shoot themselves in the foot? That loss in Miami, where they were up 5 runs in the 9th inning. That's one that's gonna hurt.
That, you know what? I also mentioned that Will Warren won. I mean, in that second game of that Baltimore series, that was the same day that the Blue Jays lost 20-1 to the Royals.
Yeah, that was bad.
So not winning on that day, I think killed it. But they still got a chance if the Rays can just help us out one time, please.
Tomorrow's your last chance.
We gave you a stadium to play in this season. You better return the favor and repay us by winning once tomorrow.
And the Yankees will have Luis Gil start tomorrow to finish off the Baltimore series and finish off the regular season. Also, another scary development that happened earlier today. Jazz Chisholm Jr., the second baseman, got hit in the forearm, it looked like, by a pitch.
Yeah, like right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
So he was taken out of the game for that. Jose Caballero played second the rest of the game. X-rays were negative, but it looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
And I hope he's okay.
Mm-hmm. Because we need him. He has to be okay.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why home field advantage is so big, because you get those few days rest. Now, I know some people are going to say, we've seen teams in the first 2 seeds in each league fall short in the divisional series because of rest and rust. But honest to God, it's not true. It really, you need to get your players healthy.
Quick update, because there's a reason why I'm laughing. I just saw an update. Dylan Moore of the Rangers in a tie ball game. He tried to steal home and he got caught stealing home.
What?
To end the 8th inning? Yeah.
Bad
Who does
base
this man
running.
think he is? Ellie De La Cruz?
It's still 2-2 in bottom of the 8th inning.
And also
That's
the Reds
terrible.
lead has chipped to 7-4. So,
Yeah, Jake Bauers RBI single.
and they got 2 men on with 2 men out. The Brewers do in the bottom of the 6th. That game's not over yet, but Milwaukee can celebrate either way.
Either way, as you mentioned about Jazz Chisholm Jr. about the X-rays coming negative, that's a good news for him and the Yankees. David Fry, on the other hand, wasn't as lucky because that ball hit him square onto the face, and he ended up with a broken nose and facial fractures. Ouch.
Luckily, he doesn't need surgery.
Yeah, and I like that Tarek Skubal came up to him in the hospital to see if he was okay. That was the class act thing to do. So I commend him for that.
That's great sportsmanship.
It really is. Like, we need more sportsmanship nowadays. It makes Marcus Stewart happy.
Even if it's a divisional rivalry, we're all humans in the end.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned the Tigers for a little bit, but I do want to get into the Mets. The Mets at one point were solidly in wild card position. Now they're tied with the Reds, and the Reds, if they hold on today, they'll keep that final wild card spot. And what that would mean is the Mets would have to win tomorrow, and the Reds would have to lose tomorrow. Do I see either of those two things happening? One of those things could happen. The Mets could probably win, but they'll probably get their hearts broken by the Brewers, who want to probably rest their guys because they don't really need to play anymore. They got everything they need. Now, another thing I want to get into, and this is in regards to the playoff format. Now, we're not doing an official bracket challenge just yet because the bracket is not entirely set, although most of the spots are set up. What we could probably do is we could probably do the National League side, if anything, because the National League side is pretty much set. The Brewers are the 1 seed, Phillies are the 2 seed, Dodgers 3, Cubs 4, Padres 5, and whoever comes out between the Mets and the Reds is 6. So we could do a little bit of that, and then we can move on to scoreboard watching if need to, and maybe even a little bit of college football. So in the wild card, it would be Reds/Mets versus the Dodgers in LA, and then Cubs and Padres in Chicago, in Wrigley Field. The winner of the Cubs-Padres series will play Milwaukee. The winner of the Dodgers series will play the Philadelphia Phillies. So we're going to go one by one as to who comes out of the National League. Kev, we're going to start with you. We're going to start with the wild card first. Best of 3.
Okay, so you said the first one was Reds or Mets against the Dodgers, right?
Yes, correct.
I think Dodgers win that I think they sweep in 2 games.
All right, and then the Cubs-Padres.
Cubs-Padres, I'm actually very excited for that because I wanted to see those 2 teams match up against each other. I think that might go to a game 3. I do because it could go one way to where Padres win and they keep going in advance, but if they lose, then that's not a good reflection on AJ Preller and how much that he had to sacrifice in his farm system and trade basically half of it away and his top prospect to go all in this season for them to lose in the first round to the Cubs. They better hope they don't lose that series. But the Cubs, on the other hand, we'll have to wait and see the status on Kyle Tucker and what his injury status is because with no Kyle Tucker, I could easily see the Padres taking full advantage of that and beating them in that series. But the Cubs, if they do get Kyle Tucker back, I could see them. It's going to depend on pitching matchups and timely hitting. I think timely hitting is the main name of the game. That and starting pitching, because I think Alec alluded to it that the starting rotation for the Padres has always been a big concern for the Padres. So they need to come out swinging. The Cubs, I do like what I've been seeing from their starting rotation. I think that Cade Horton is the rookie of the year candidate for pitching. He's pitched great. It'll be fairly close, but I'm gonna say Cubs are gonna win in 3 games, but I would not doubt the Padres if they were able to pull it out, but I think it will go 3 games.
Okay, Cubs in 3. So that would mean Milwaukee would take on the Cubs division matchup, and the Phillies would take on the Dodgers. Those are best of 5. How do you have that going?
If it is Cubs Brewers, I'd say Brewers do win that series, but I think that goes 4 games in that series. But I do think Brewers beat the Cubs and advance on. And the next matchup would be Dodgers and who else?
Phillies.
Dodgers, Phillies. That one could be interesting if it's best of 5. Again, I do see that going maybe the whole distance, 5 games. I think it'll be dependent on defense and the bullpen, because the Dodgers bullpen is not the best bullpen this year. Phillies bullpen on the end, I think they upgraded by getting Joan Duran in there. I think that was a big boost to their bullpen. I think their offense is clicking on all cylinders, especially with the kind of season that Kyle Schwarber has had so far. He's an MVP candidate, but like what the odds makers want to do, like to favor Shohei Ohtani as much as possible, but putting him minus 20,000 like over Schwarber doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, despite his great season. But their starting rotation, Philly's starting rotation is pretty good. I really like their starting rotation. Dodgers have 1 million starters, but can they last against a good offense like the Phillies? That's going to be a good question. Listen. I said in the beginning of the year, before baseball even started, it's going to be the Dodgers until further notice. I don't anticipate the Dodgers losing in the first round, but I do think the Phillies do have the tools that it takes to beat a team like the Dodgers in the first round. So, but do I think that they'll actually do it is the question. I'll say Dodgers in 5, but I would not be shocked if the Phillies were able to knock off the Dodgers first round.
Okay, so you're saying Dodgers in 5 and Brewers in 4. So Brewers, Dodgers, best of 7. Winner goes to the World Series. How do you have that going?
I feel like that could go at easily 6 or 7 games if that's the case. Brewers, the way they're going to beat the Dodgers is if they have a better overall hitting performance than them. Because the Brewers, I feel like they've been a solid team offensively, like consistently all year. The starting rotation, I feel like has also been pretty solid. I think their bullpen is like, I can't believe how good Milwaukee's bullpen has been, especially when you consider the fact that they got rid of Devin Williams, who was their star closer for years. But also gotta also come into question Trevor Megill's injury status as well, because he's now their closer now. So like they got to get him healthy. And that'll be a big question mark. Dodgers are not like world beaters the same as when they were last season. This season they're a little bit different. Their bullpen is not as good. Their starting rotation is like hit or miss most of the time. But the Brewers are clicking on everything right now. But again, just like the Phillies, am I really going to sit here and think that the Dodgers are not going to go back to the World Series? I mean, I've been saying Dodgers. Brewers, I really hope that they beat the Dodgers, but I just don't think they're gonna. I need to be proven wrong in some form, because like I do have faith in the Brewers, but again, I have to be honest here and think that the Dodgers could beat them in 6 or 7 games. So I'm going to say Dodgers.
Okay. Now you have the Dodgers going to the World Series. All right, so here's my bracket. We're going to go really quick on these because we got to get to Fresh Find Friday. All right, so Cubs, Padres, and Dodgers versus Mets/Reds. I think the Reds come out first off. Second of all, I have the Reds losing in 3 games, and then the Dodgers will get one picked off, but I think the Dodgers win overall. Cubs, Padres, like Kevin said, could be interesting, but I had that going the distance as well. I think Chicago comes out on top, and the Padres get questions about their move to get rid of their farm system. So that means I have Milwaukee Cubs, and then I have Phillies Dodgers. In this situation, I have the Phillies going 5 games against the Dodgers. Phillies have proven that they could be hot at any time. Their offense is like a firecracker. They pop off whenever you least expect it, and they're so good with Schwarber and Brandon Marsh. Nick Castellanos, I think, is their weak link when it comes to batting, but Bryce Harper's still good. Their pitching is better. Their bullpen is a little bit dicey, but I think that Johan Duran, definitely helps them out. So I have Phillies in 5. Cubs, Brewers should be interesting. I have the Brewers in 5 as well. And the reason why is because Yes, Chicago has the season series tiebreaker, 7-6. But Milwaukee, now that they feel at ease and they can take it easy for a little bit, they're going to have the tension off of their shoulders. I think it's going to bode well for them. So I have the Brewers in 5. And that means Milwaukee, Philly, and I have the Phillies in 6. I have the Philadelphia Phillies going to the World Series. And honestly, I don't think you can blame me on that one. All right, next up, we're going to go to John. John, we're going to do your wild card picks first. Dodgers versus potentially Reds or Mets, and Cubs and Padres. How do you see those going? Best of 3.
The nuts and bolts of these are going to be really interesting. I think the Dodgers are getting healthy when they need to. They've been really slaughtered on pitching, but I think they're getting right. They looked really tough against the Mariners last night, and they're going to probably play another tough game tonight. And that was a bullpen game last night. So
It was.
I like the Dodgers for sure. I don't care if it's the Mets or not. And then I don't trust the Padres. I'm gonna have to go with the Cubs. I think they're going to be competitive for a game or maybe 2, but I don't think they win the series. And so I'm happy to go Cubs and Dodgers, which means it's Dodgers, Phillies, and Brewers, Cubs.
Correct.
Brewers have been on this ride that not many people have been paying attention to, and that feels like they're just coasting. So I kind of feel like they can coast past the Cubs. They're a deeper team, and they've been playing as a unit, as a team. So I see I kind of basically am mimicking you, but Matt. But I like the Brewers. And as much as I like the West Coast, I think the Phillies are a better team. I think they end up beating the Dodgers. And I actually like the Brewers going all the way.
Ooh. Where's Willis Schumacher when you need her? Alec, up to you now. Wild card.
We start out with the wild card, where it's Dodgers versus either the Reds or the Mets. Now, if they face the Mets, Dodgers sweep. If they face the Reds are going to steal one game because they're the only team in the league that's not been swept all year, unless if I'm mistaken.
They got swept once or twice this year.
Yeah,
all right.
A couple times, yeah.
But up until a certain point, they were the only team in the league to not get swept. But
yeah,
and I feel they can easily steal a game because they are young and hungry. But the Dodgers' experience prevails here. If they face the Reds, they win in free. Cubs Padres gets interesting because the Padres do have a batting order that can catch up to other batting orders. My biggest concern is that their weak link is their starting rotation because after Nick Pivetta, it's been a rotating cast of characters. Michael King, I don't know if I can trust him after his injury. Probably yes, probably not. Dylan Cease, whoa. Yeah, but and then that's where it gets all shaky. The Cubs defense I love a lot. And I think it's going to matter a lot going up against a team like the Padres. This goes the full distance, but the Cubs get this one out, and they'll fly the W at Wrigley over the Padres, and AJ Preller faces major questions over the future, especially after trading away his entire farm system and maybe close to getting on the hot seat if he hasn't been on the hot seat already. Now, Brewers Cubs, that's a rivalry matchup, but these two are evenly matched with one another. These two, I would not be surprised if either one beat each other. This can go 4 or 5, but I have the Brewers in 4 games. The Cubs are a young team, and the Brewers, they are the experienced team that hasn't gotten over the hump in recent years. This would be their first playoff win since 2018 in a series from last I remember. But nonetheless, I think the Brewers get this one out because they focus a lot on fundamentals. Phillies, Dodgers are getting healthy at the right time, but the Phillies are better conditioned. Plus, this is one of their last great chances with this current core of Harper, Turner, and company. Castellanos is their weak link on the outfield. I imagine they move on from him in the offseason. But nonetheless, when you have a rotation that has Sanchez, Luzardo, Suarez, that's a deadly rotation to have. That's not saying the Dodgers rotation isn't deadly because Yamamoto is him. Ohtani is him. Glasnow is him. Kershaw is winging and dealing it in its final year. The one major weakness for the Dodgers is their bullpen because Tanner Scott has disappointed and Blake Trinan has showing his age. And the rest of the bullpen, I don't trust at all. Kirby Yates looks like a one-year wonder after what happened last year. And the Phillies bullpen, they're turning it on the right time. It's Matt Strom, Orion Kerkering, and Johan Duran. So it'll be a Brewers, Phillies, NOCS. And I'll have to say, whoever was going to win that Phillies-Dodgers series will advance to the World Series if that were to happen. I'll take Phillies in 5 over the Dodgers, Phillies in 6 over the Brewers. So they go to the World Series, or they will face off against whoever comes out of the AL. You know, there are predictions there, but the AL bracket has to come out. I'll just give you the quick version. I have the Mariners coming out of the AL.
Woo!
Interesting.
John?
No argument here. I mean, my dream World Series is Brewers Mariners.
I could live with that if my Yankees don't make it.
See, here's the thing with the American League. The one sure bet right now is the Mariners. You would think the Mariners are like the one sure thing that can give you something because the Blue Jays are not going to have Bo Bichette coming into the playoffs. The Red Sox, they're going to get Roman Anthony back, but he might not be 100% when he does come back. I think the Tigers and Guardians or Astros, whoever comes out of those two spots, are weak links for sure. Yankees on paper look better this year than they did last year, but I'm just not certain. Like if we can get past Boston, if we're a wild card team, that's why I keep stressing out home field advantage is huge, especially with Jazz getting hit in the forearm today. Like this is why the bye. People can say, "Well, the bye makes you rusty." The bye is good because it allows you to get healthy and ready for the playoffs. Now, yes, there have been instances a lot since the playoffs expanded where we see teams that get the bye look a little rusty, like the Phillies a la last year, or the Dodgers a la 3 years ago, or the Dodgers a la 2 years ago. But it's basically a sign that, the bye hasn't been worked out yet. Your body's not conditioned after playing for 6 months consistently to have a week's rest. But I think teams will adjust to that moving forward in the future years. But as far as like your AL prediction with the Mariners, I'm going to be honest. The AL is so tough to call. I honestly wouldn't be mad if it's Seattle, to be honest. And honestly, I think the guys at KXP would love it if the Mariners made the World Series.
You know what? I think the Mariners have the most complete team out of any team in the AL at this current state.
I can agree with that, yeah.
In the great words of Kyle Raleigh, might as well just go win the whole thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey now.
You left the word out there, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, listen, I'm going to evaluate the teams that are in there for the American League because we don't really have a lot of time. We're going to get to first round for a moment. The Yankees have flaws. Specifically, their bullpen is the only thing that scares me. The Red Sox are consistent, but I don't think they're better than Seattle. And then the Tigers and Guardians have fallen off a cliff. They're crawling into the playoffs. And when you crawl into the playoffs, that's not good. Now, the reason why the Yankees, people are optimistic about this Yankee postseason run for one reason. Judge is actually going into the postseason hot.
Red hot, yeah.
He's red hot going into the playoffs. Like in 2022, 2017, 2024, he was cold going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So this is different. And I know Yankee fans who tell me, hey, listen, we'll take the wild card anyway. But we're playing so good right now, I think we can beat Boston.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
I also, you did mention last year for the Yankees. Fun fact, if the Yankees win tomorrow, they'll have the exact same record that they had last season.
94-68?
Yeah, which is actually really good when you consider the fact that, last year they had Soto on their team, and everyone was saying, how they were not going to be better than without Soto than with him. if they win tomorrow, they're going to finish the exact same way. So I think that's a credit to like how good that they were able to have Plan B instead of Soto be Max Fried, who has had the most wins out of all pitchers this season. He's been great overall. Cody Bellinger, I think he's having a great year. He's like, he can play anywhere on the field. His batting's good. He has reverse splits, so he's done better against lefties. And Paul Goldschmidt, great to start the year, batting like near 400, still batting over 400 against lefties. Against righties, a different story, and he's having a great first base. Like, I think like the plan B to Juan Soto has worked completely fine. The question is, can they retain Bellinger or Goldschmidt? We know we have Fried for the next 8 years, but like I think if the Yankees win tomorrow, I think that's a great season in my opinion. As far as like people saying that like, oh, you only did good because of Soto. Well, that can like quiet people down a little bit.
Okay, we do have an important update. The Rangers and Guardians are going to the bottom of the ninth. It's still tied at 2.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So while we're doing first round and fraud, we'll see the closing moments of this. Now, for Seattle fans, I know one rapper who was born and raised in Seattle, and he prides himself on his Seattle sports, whether it be the Seahawks or the Mariners or the Seattle Storm for the WNBA. And if you know what I'm talking about Macklemore. Macklemore is the biggest Seattle sportsman, and I guarantee you, when the Mariners go into the playoffs, they'll probably have like a in-concert thing for Macklemore because Macklemore loves his Mariners.
Macklemore might make a new song with the Seattle line.
What's up,
Time to go. I said time to go thrift shopping and bust out some Ken Drippy Jr. Jerseys because that was the last time we did this. I've actually met Macklemore. He has a house. He has a house up here. Yeah, he always comes through under a different name. But last time I saw him, I'm like, hey, when's your next album coming out? He just looks at me and smiles.
Just a no.
He's like, I can't tell you that.
I can't tell you that.
Yeah. But
Right.
anyway,
No.
he had a brand new Ford F-150 Lightning. I'm like, how's that? How do you like that electric truck? It's like, it's pretty nice.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know. Like, that's actually nuts that you met Macklemore. I used to love his music growing up as a kid. I used to love thrift shopping. I used to rap to Can't Hold Us. I actually do Can't Hold Us sometimes in karaoke. I'm not even joking.
That's gonna be the Mariner song right there.
It is. It really will. No, Can't Hold Us. That will be their championship song if they win the World Series. And honestly, like I said, I think America wants the Mariners to do well because it's been so long since they've been this relevant.
Them or Brewers?
Or the Brewers,
I mean, we've had some really, really ridiculous seasons the last couple of years where we have a hot start and then we just give up and bomb. Last year we got close, so this is it. Really feels like this is the year.
And I think this also comes into to mention that the deadline paid off massively.
Oh, yeah.
Getting Josh Naylor, getting Eugenio Suarez, upgrading your pitching a little bit, and it all worked.
It's perfect. The pieces are there.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see where this Mariners team goes. But anyway, it's time for my favorite segment on this show. It's time for Fresh, Fine, or Fried. This is the segment where you get 2.5 minutes to unveil any sports take. It can be sports related. It doesn't have to be sports related. It can be anything you want for 2.5 minutes. And we rate your take at the end on a scale of fresh, meaning good, fine, meaning okay, or fried, meaning, bro, you're nuts. Get out of this hole. But anyway, John is on the hot seat this week. John, you have 2.5 minutes. I think you mentioned what you were going to say. Are you ready?
Ready.
Go.
Mr. Highwater Pants, you and I need to have a conversation, sir, because your backhanded comments to the questions that are asked to you by the press, your lackluster play calling, zero effort on defense. You have some of the most high-powered electric weapons on offense, and I don't see any of them being utilized, schemed, coached, or otherwise energized into actually being excited about playing for your football team. And I am looking directly at you, Jerry Curl, Baby Curl, Mr. Mike McDaniels. I am sadly disappointed in you as a coach, sadly disappointed in the coaching tree that you represent. I am ultimately disappointed in your press conferences. You turned into the Pajama Boy Junior version of Bill Belichick. And it's just really, really sad to see your whole team was on Hard Knocks a couple of seasons ago, and you have players that are retiring before the start of the season because they don't believe in you or the team anymore. And I mean, it started with the draft. You guys didn't draft well. You have a really the trade with the Steelers was weird to me. You gave away a Pro Bowler tight end and
One minute
got
remaining.
Mika Fitzpatrick, who hasn't done much of anything. The Steelers definitely won that trade. So I mean, if the NFL was shaped like the Premier League, the Miami Dolphins would be relegated and you would be fired, sir.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow. Really efficient. All right, Kevin, fresh, fine, or fried?
Really, really fresh right there, John. Great, epic rant about Mike McDaniels. But I agree with John. I think that the Dolphins, I mean, like Mike McDaniel's definitely on the hot seat. I think we were debating, I think maybe a few episodes ago, like who do you think is going to be like the first head coach to be fired? And I think almost all of us said Mike McDaniel, but like he's just one of the coaches that could get fired. But I definitely think that if the Dolphins don't perform well, I think he should be gone. Same thing with Brian Dable. If Jackson Dart doesn't perform, he should be gone. But yeah, Mike McDaniel, I mean, for years, like this team has just been under par from like what they were set out to do with acquiring a guy like Tyreek Hill and his caliber. I mean, like, yes, he's getting targets, but also to the Dolphins' point, like Tua Tagovailoa is an okay quarterback, but like he always gets concussed. He always gets injured and all that. And immediately when he gets injured, like the backup quarterback that they have, whether it's like Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley or whoever they've had in the past, the Dolphins season just over at that point. So the Dolphins season basically rests on the health of their quarterback. And if the play calling is good and if their ability to win games, Mike McDaniel's coaching is not helping one bit of that. So I think that easily that's a fresh take from John there.
The difference between Mike McDaniels and Dable is Miami doesn't have an exciting rookie quarterback to run out to save his season. I was in the back of my head, I had Zach White and Mike McDaniels having this conversation, this argument, like Jerry and George Costanza, where George is screaming at Jerry, like, "How come I'm not that guy? How come I can't go out there?" And Jerry is the coach, and he's like, "You're not better, you're worse."
Wow. All right, Alec, fresh, fine, or fried?
Hey, what's the deal with fresh, fine, or fried? Well, I did one last week on the Dolphins, and you did one this week, and I'll say yours is just as fresh.
All right. You know what? Fresh. Because Mike McDaniel has really dropped the ball on this Dolphins team. And I know he's supposed to be this nerd, that he's supposed to be a genius. First off, there's a difference between being a nerd and being an idiot. And Mike McDaniels is the latter. He's an idiot. Because this guy does not know how to run an offense without Tua. This guy is playing the whole woe is me card and acts like a preschooler at a press conference when he loses. And honestly, despite Alabama Crimson Tide fans embracing this guy because of Tua, he has not gotten this Dolphins team to the promised land where they're supposed to be. And when they go to the playoffs, they get their asses kicked. And if he does get fired, I'm not going to tolerate the nonsense anymore. I think he's finished. So, that should do it for Fresh Fine and Fried. But we also got to unveil, I mentioned this before on the August show, we're partnering up with My Camp Solutions, and we have a new promo vid ad for them. And for those of you who want to know, My Camp Solutions and Octagon Payments are a UFC combat sports inspired wholesale credit card company. So for those of you who don't know, our friend Ryan, or at Guacamole is Delicious on Instagram, he runs his financial company. We met him. He's a great guy, knows his stuff very well. And I figured on a Thursday I was bored and I wanted to upgrade the show a little bit. And Ryan loved this ad, and the guys at My Camp Solutions reached out to me about this ad, and they loved it. So if you don't know about My Camp Solutions, here's a sneak peek.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and My Camp Solutions. My Camp Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. My Camp Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
And that is just a little bit of what I did when I was in preschool doing mixed martial arts classes. Although back then I couldn't do a Superman punch or a spinning back elbow, but look at me now. But anyway, like I said again, Octagon Payments, My Camp Solutions, Ryan, thank God for you and seeing the light and what we bring to the table with our authenticity. We have 2.5 minutes left. Right now, the Guardians have a guy up to bat with, I think the base is loaded, correct?
Yeah, because
Base is loaded, 2 outs for Capus.
Oh my
CJ
God.
Capus.
Oh my
CJ
God. Do you see how-
Capus is the last hope. Yep.
Oh my God. 2
Yep,
minutes to
2
go.
outs.
Before it goes to extras.
Yeah,
Oh my
'cause
God. I think we might go into extras with
Let's
this.
get this one.
Hit by
Who
pitch.
wins it?
Hit by pitch.
Oh!
A walk-off hit by pitch.
Won.
The Guardians win.
And the Astros are eliminated.
Oh my God! A walk-off
So
hit
this
by
right here,
pitch.
I'm going to put this in breaking news. So the Guardians have just won on a hit by pitch. The Guardians are still in first place in the AL Central. The Houston Astros are eliminated from playoff contention.
Oh!
Let's go.
What?
Off of that.
That's the craziest way to win.
That's the crazy way
That
to end your
has to
season.
be
Oh my
one of the
God.
wildest switches, with the Astros losing six games, and the Guardians winning 16, coming back by a 15-game deficit.
That's crazy. All right.
No way.
Well, on that note, from
There's
Ken's
no
Uncle
way.
John Welch, Alec Nava, I'm Matt Sirianni. This has been an awesome way to end the show. I've never seen anything like it before. All right. We will be back throughout the month of October. October is going to be a crazy month for me because of Daughtry, because of Alabama, because of Halloween parties. But you know what? I'm committed to making this show work one way or another. And we're going to have that conversation after the show. But anyways, God bless you all. Have a good night. And like SpongeBob's grandparents once said, take care. Old people are the greatest. They're full of wisdom and experience. Take care of them because they mean so much to the future. Anyways, this has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports at its absolute best core. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Foursquare Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.